No. Come on. Let's see. Where? Okay. Is it live or is it not? Yeah, it's live. Alright. So, camera. Oh, let's see, what are we doing? So basically, make sure we have this muted. We'll end up with a sound loop. So usually what I do is I split my screen about halfway so that I can watch what's going on. We need to go into here and we'll have to make a few changes to the chat filter to where it says all messages. So anyway, I don't know if Mike is on here yet. So I'm just going to put this back over here. And I'm in the middle of trying to get my server going. So, and then we're listening to the Insomnia Net or something. I wonder if I could like move this thing back a little bit further and get it like a little bit better. This thing really would be better if I was streaming horizontal. Let's see. All right. Okay. I get my stuff here. Yeah, so I'll be doing Open Media Vault on the server. And I'm gonna reset that. Let's see. Got a couple of seconds of latency here. Alright. We're gonna go over here. Open Media Vault. Alright. It's automatically gonna go and install. Okay. Enter. Okay. So I tried to do this earlier and it failed like every time. So it's going to detect my network. Okay. But guess you'll know if you get it wrong. I had a problem on this server though. I plugged the cable into the wrong connection. Let's see if it fails again. More than one storage device has been detected. No kidding. Okay, so we want the 500 gigabyte. We don't want the 4 terabyte. We don't want the 16 gigabyte stick or the other 4 terabyte. This is where it screwed up before. So maybe there's something wrong with the disk. Starting at 33%, which is sort of strange. Creating ETX4 file system, which is sitting there at 33. And now it's going to say it's installing the system. It'll go to about like 18, and then it'll fail. I don't know what the reason is. But I've already tried this like 4 or 5 times. I don't know if there's a way to get the camera to work a little better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A lot of latency. Well, it says 60. 80. Might be working. I tried to use a USB SD card thumb drive, and it wouldn't work. But now I'm using an actual USB thumb drive. So I was using one of these, and it's just got some like ching chong, cheap. It just says 32 on it. So it would not run on that. It did get, to the point of installing the system, but it kept saying failing. And then it said that there was no installation media another time, so that's when I decided it must be something to do with that little. I think these little readers that come with the 3D printers, I think they all have like problems. It's probably just Mike's fault because, he just put the Scottish curse on the thing. Let's see. Oh boy, I tell you what, man. I don't know if anybody's watching that follows the channel, but I did that almost 48-hour fast. And that was miserable. And now, I can't stop eating. So much for that crap. Okay. Usually the Debian.org is a good choice for a mirror. Okay, if you need HTTP, use configuring APT, retrieving file 44 or 44. Anyway, so yeah, the damn fasting thing. It did relieve some inflammation, but I mean that was miserable. So now I'm overeating again. And I think my ankles are starting to swell back up. I just got to stick to like a stricter keto. The fasting thing seemed like a good idea. I watched the video on it, thought it was a good idea. And maybe it's good for some people. But I had a hard time getting anything done for the last 2 days because I just didn't really have any energy. So here we are, back doing the computer stuff. I guess it's technically Sunday. Let's see here, this thing is going slow. Ugh, man. Let's see, what does it say now? It says, installation is complete, so it is time to boot into your new system. Make sure to remove the installation media so that you boot into your new system rather than restarting the installation. Can you? Okay. And so what I'm hoping this will do is this will work without that, it's like a RAID card or something. So I've got my 2 drives. hooked directly to the server board instead of it had a little card. I don't know what I did with it. Where is it? It should be in here. Oh, I don't know where I put it. Anyway, the card gets really, really hot. It's like a RAID controller card. But in these servers, you have to set up a bunch of weird stuff in the BIOS first before you can even do anything. So it's kind of confusing. But it already is set up for that. So, but when I first got this server, it was completely wiped, and the BIOS were set up for something else. So I had to redo everything and detect everything. It's kind of funky video output. Okay, so what do we got here? Oh man, it just like completely. Due to previous error, aborting method not found. Clean files. Okay. AE not found. Okay, now it gives me a new IP address. Open Media Vault, Blue Server, copyright. To manage the system, visit Open Media Vault Workbench. And then just change again. Hold on, 192.168.021. Okay? And the password is going to be, it'll be, the password I set on here will have nothing to do with the workbench. The username will be admin, and the password will be Open Media Vault. So, we go back over here and do that. Get this thing over here. Okay. Alright. So we need 192.168.0.21. I always have to make sure that it's not going to try and type in something else. See, and there's so many installations and passwords memorized for other IP addresses. So, admin, tab, Open Media Vault. Okay. And just close that out. The dashboard has not been configured. Do your settings page. Okay, enable widgets. All you want, all these enabled. Okay, click save. CPU is frowning at me. Don't know why. The time is incorrect. Updates available. And there's going to be a ton of these damn updates. I don't know if there's like a install all. Holy moly. Okay. I've done this a few times, but I'm not like super skilled at this kind of stuff. But basically, I'm accessing the server from this computer over my network. And that other computer is actually plugged into a router that's a Wi-Fi router that's turned into an access point. It's an old Nighthawk or whatever. Some of the old Nighthawks, you can turn them into basically fancy USB Wi-Fi or whatever you want to call them. So I have an Ethernet cable going to the router, but it's acting like a Wi-Fi antenna, which is the coolest thing I've ever figured out, because then I can have that router over there with 4 outputs feed 4 different computers on Wi-Fi. Not as good as having, them directly to the main router, but I don't have a hub. So anyway, let's see if we can. I did download CentOS. This is my server board I was reading up about. Let's see, our stream is over here. I guess it's in the vertical mode, but I don't know. So supposedly YouTube Shorts should be showing it. Let me just go here. Welcome to. But I'm not logged into my studio, so studio usually it's probably easier to go to YouTube Studio. Let's see. I can't remember how to do this. Alright. One of them is going to be Studio. Let's close that. Is that Studio? I don't know. Let's go here. Should be able to see any streams. Okay. If I click on that one, I can now manage it from here. Alright, so now I can. It's way over that way, that's strange. It doesn't make sense. Let me move the camera. It's like something's not correct. Or is it just because my window is not full? Okay. Alright. We've had 8 views. So now I can go change the title. Alright. Alright. Well, I wish I could type better. Okay, and let's put people in blogs, I guess. I don't know. Hey, let's change the thumbnail to like. Look at this. There we go. Alright. That's perfect. That's awesome. I know you're not really supposed to do that kind of stuff, but like take somebody else's. Wait, no, I don't want to download that. What the hell? Get back here. Change. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's funny. Where's that picture at? Okay. It's 3,800 plus weird guy on computer stock photos. Maybe visit this. This is like classic shit, man. And there's another one right here. Most of these really aren't that funny. This one's good. Oh my god. I was hoping to like find some like really old ones, but none of these are old. They're just all like fake. $65 pages of crap. Maybe we should get like the picture of Bill Gates getting the pie thrown in his face. That'd be a good one. Alright, anyway. Let's see what we got. Nobody's watching. Oh yeah, one person's watching. This thing is really weird because it's hard to tell what the hell's going on half the time. Anyway, okay, so eat that one, close that one. We need to go back over to Open Media Vault. Yeah, I had a feeling it's going to be doing this for a while, guys. So, um, it looks like you don't really need that card to run this server. So, I don't know. It was a generation of heat for one thing, which means that it's dissipating power, wasting power. Okay, we have. Let's go into system. Okay. I think I still need to. I think I still need to create a profile. User settings. No, I don't really want to. Software failure. Press the mouse button to continue. Obsolete cache data found. Page will be reloaded if the problem persists. Alright. Okay. Oh man, I don't even remember how to do half of this crap. This is why I really don't like this. Okay, so let's see. Storage. Alright. Yeah. A bunch of stuff's gonna have to be changed. Users. Oh. Maybe we have to, oh, a system restart. Okay. 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 What do I need to do? Just restart. Alright. Reboot. Confirm. Yes. Well, that's fast. Like that beeped in like as soon as I hit the thing. No latency. I don't know if I have this thing on. Nope. Maybe I do. Holy moly, what is this? That's like a lot of noise. You hear that? Holy moly. So FG8 is busy at 1:51 in the morning on 20 meters. Crazy. I don't hear anything. Beep, beep, beep. Software failure. Software failure. Oh no. That is one thing about the server. It is kind of slow to boot. Even when the SSD was in there, it wasn't really fast. Yeah, I'm about ready for bed. But I don't know if that's going to be the right one. Let me see. Beep, beep, beep. All right, well. Now what? We're going to keep getting the same error over and over. Oh, you gotta add all these stupid plugins. File browser. So without the plugins, it basically doesn't do anything. Forgot about that. Alright, once it does that, it says in the line, you can close. It's going to do some other crap. Go back over here. Disk stats. We got the file browser, the FTP one, so it's an FTP server plugin. I would guess we'll probably need that one. Okay, that one was a little bit quicker. But each time we gotta go back through here and then go to system and then go back here and then it opens it up. Logical volume manager. I think you need that, but I don't know. OneDrive plugin. I don't think we need that. I'm not using Microsoft. Photo Prism. AI-powered app for browsing, organizing, and sharing your photo collection. Podman. Managing containers and images, volumes mounted in those containers. Which I don't understand the whole, container thing. S3 plugin, a standalone high-performance object storage based on Mini I/O or something. SharePort emulates an Airport Express for the purpose of streaming music from iTunes and compatible iPods and iPhones. It implements a server for the Apple protocol. Share root FS. By default, the root file system is hidden in Open Media Vault and cannot be used to create shared folders on it. This is by designed to separate the operating system from the user data. Open Media Vault Simple Network Management Protocol provides a framework for the exchange of management information between agents, servers, and clients. TFTP server plugin is mainly required for booting operation systems or configurations over the network. USB backup is automatically synchronize a shared folder to a USB eSATA device and vice versa when it is plugged in. The device is put into sleep mode after synchronization to signal that it can be removed safely. We have web TTTY, terminal access in web browser over HTTPS. Alright, that's all that there is in there. So we have the file browser, we have the FTP server plugin. File browser provides a file managing interface within a specific directory, and it can be used to upload, delete, preview, rename, and edit your files. Okay, now go to storage. It still isn't letting me do anything. Okay, network, still not letting me do anything. Software failure. Okay, so yeah, that's why I don't want to use this thing. I'd rather use something else. Let me go look and see while it's doing this what kind of power we're drawing. Just pull up the dashboard. It's actually doing pretty good. It's pulling 66 watts. Now all I got to do is swap the hard drive and put the other card back in there, and it's already set up. But I don't know what's up with this right now. Why it's not working. But anyway, I'm about to close up the stream because there really isn't anybody watching. We've been on here for 35 minutes and had 13 views. So I don't know. What do I got to do to get YouTube to change how they promote things? That's such a fucking funny picture. Whoa, what is this damn thing? It's like an ET computer. Well, I miss when computers were like this. Things were so much different back in the day. You used to be able to go through here and click next. Let me see here. These are all like staged. This is one of my videos right here. Let's try old. There we go. Ah, oh, there we go. I remember these computers. These were like what? These were like basically like what we had in school. And then there was the TRS-80 that looked like that. I remember they used to have all these computer speakers and stuff too. I've got a Dell over here. That one's pretty old. A Dimension 3100. I've got a couple of other ones that are older. But, move this thing here. Let's look at these. It was so hard to find a serial keyboard. Oh man, the Apple II. Oh, I remember those. And this was when the floppy disk was really a floppy disk. It was like actually floppy. Microsoft Windows 3.1. Wow. It's nuts. I do have Windows 95, or is it 98? I've got one of them. I think 95 is about the hardest to do. 98 is easy. Man. Now these things are usually yellowed beyond belief too. And I remember how big the monitors were, like crazy stupid big. Yeah, I mean they were like huge ass monitors. Like the computer itself wasn't really that big. I mean look at the, and they were all flat. That was the other thing. None of them stood up like towers. Like they were all flat. And you couldn't really expand anything on them. Like the computer was basically, you could either get a tape drive, hard drive, a floppy drive, a dot matrix printer, and maybe like a barcode scanner. And then they started to come out with the not floppy drive, whatever you call that, 3 1/4 or whatever. Wow, look at that. Imagine if you could find one of these. It'd be worth some money. Crazy money. But I remember the TRS-80. I do not remember this one. I remember the Apple II GS. There's a Dell right there that's almost as old. I have one that looks like that. That's just an i5. That's actually new, in my opinion. What in the hell? Wow. And everything back in the 80s looked like this, you know? It was crazy. That's like 2000s. Holy crap, look at this. And remember they always had that box underneath there with all the switches? And they always had the Alltech Lansing little speakers. Crazy. Man. So we have Windows 98 on one computer so we can play some of the old games. But, and they did a lot of that crap like this with the funky swoosh marks, and it just made them really ugly. Kind of like the cars at the time. Just stick to a normal square shape. The Apple II. And they always referred to these things back in the 80s as like 128, 256. And I don't know if it was like the memory. I think it was the memory. Brand new retro PC. Building a retro PC from new parts. Interesting. It would be kind of cool. Wow, look at that computer. Damn. Those monitors were so big. What the hell is it like? What's down in the bottom here? And I remember the printer cables were crazy. They had like big, huge ribbon cables with like a huge amount of pins on them. I remember the Apple II GS. I don't know if this is, what is this? I can't read it. It actually had these like mini golf games that were pretty good. And I remember everybody in my class wanted to play the computer, but only how did they do it? Only the kids that did really good or got like the highest grades were allowed to use the computer. So of course I never got to use it. That looks like the TRS-80 kind of. But I remember the TRS-80 being the drives being the other direction. And I think there was two of them. Wow, look at that thing. See, that's a tape drive right there for the tape. (2000s) green screen. What the hell? Oh, the Osborne computer. Yeah. And that was like in a case. Like portable. It's crazy. There was a lot of stuff that came out in the 80s that didn't really do well. A lot of companies trying to make the Amiga. So Radio Shack sold a lot of stuff. There's a Commodore. Wow. Still looking for the TRS-80. Oh, here's another. That's a Radio Shack one. You see the TV, you have the computer, and you have the keyboard, and then you have the drives. I've actually got a really old Radio Shack, a TRS-80 pocket computer. And I'm not even sure how it's even supposed to work. I think it's in this drawer behind me. Yeah, it is. And I just don't even know what the hell to do with it, but it's a TRS-80 pocket computer, and it does work. It basically just types stuff. I don't know. It says degree and run. It's like a calculator. Anyway, I have not figured out what the hell to do with it. It has a gigantic serial port. I think you were able to like use it to print with or something. But that's the oldest computer I have over here. These things, if you still had one of these and they worked, it would be worth a lot of money. Just because there are people that want them. And all these things, they all went into the trash. Nobody wanted them. Or nobody ever thought about it. You know, like, who's going to want this? And it's just like today. The stuff that, we have today, in 50 years, people will be collecting a lot of the stuff. And less than that, really. What in the hell is that? Like a typewriter. Windows 95 just always cracks me up. Yeah, and everybody had those computer tables. Commodore. So the Commodore, I don't know if the brains of the computer was like in the keyboard or in the monitor. Because I think like most of it plugged into the monitor. Wow. Another thing too, a lot of the thrift stores won't actually sell any of these, even if they get them donated, because they don't want to deal with the CRT tubes. So they're just going to keep disappearing. People do donate them. I donated some oscilloscopes, Heathkit ones, and actually put them out on the floor. Oh. They keep showing the same one over and over. There was a lot of terminal computers back in the 80s too, where they just were like tied to another, major network. The Commodore PET. Wow. Oh man. Wonder what that one is. I still don't see the TRS-80. We probably could just look it up. Yep, that's what they use the cassette tapes to store. I remember playing the Oregon Trail on a cassette tape. Those are microfiche things, I think. Micro Pro. They used to have things in the magazines and stuff where you could build your own computer back in the 80s. What did that say? A 25-year-old computer. What does it say? What does it say?
Possibly love today is quite a bit different than it was in the early days. In the mid 1990s, when home internet started to become more common, with services like AOL and Prodigy offering dial up services, the internet was a simpler place. For many reasons, it had to be a simpler place, due to the hardware of the time and, more importantly, the connection speed of dial up. The web was optimized around these limitations. The result was a much lighter internet that was far more basic, for better or worse. Things like streaming media weren't really a thing, but neither were the annoying autoplay videos and sites with built-in crypto miners, so pick your poison. In many ways, the modern web is bloated, but it has scaled well with advancements of modern hardware. What about old hardware, though? Like, let's say something over 25 years old. Can you still access the modern World Wide Web in any capacity? Well, I happen to have a few old PCs around, so let's connect them up and see what happens. Before we begin, we need to devise a way to run a modern web browser on something so old. Obviously, a modern version of Windows isn't going to run, since they aren't even technically supporting CPUs from just 7 years ago. So for this project, our best bet is Linux. Now, we are limited to what distros we can use, as most modern distributions like Ubuntu have lofty requirements compared to the PCs we will be using. Honestly, this makes sense considering hardware this old is more expensive or hard to find than just grabbing an almost free semi modern Optiplex from some random office. But we need not fret, as there are several options for a lightweight version of Linux with a GUI. We could choose Puppy Linux or Damn Small Linux 2024, or simply install Debian with a light window manager. Whatever I pick, I'm sure someone in the comments will point out that there's another option that might have been better, and you might be right, so feel free to share your thoughts below. However, I decided to use TinyCore, which is an impressively lightweight, internet-ready, bare-bone Linux desktop that runs on practically any hardware. I will be using the Core Plus version, which supports Wi-Fi as well. For the most part, this is a modular distro that doesn't really come with much. Even things like sound support are not enabled by default. That said, it has a nice little package manager that gives you access to all sorts of modern and legacy apps that can be added. One very interesting feature is that apps can be loaded directly from the cloud and loaded into memory and then wiped upon reboot. However, since RAM is a very valuable commodity here, I will be installing everything to local storage. Alright, so our first victim, or PC, is my Slot 1 rig. If you've been watching this channel for a while now, you'll know that I use this test setup for DOS, Windows 98, and sound card things. To give it the best chance, I decided to upgrade the 233 MHz Celeron to a 333 MHz Pentium 2 and bump the RAM up to a max of 120 megabytes.
This thing plugs in like that?
1998 standards, we're running a pretty baller rig. With the upgrades complete, it was time to install.
This is hilarious.
I went with the CD-ROM installer for Core Plus.
I don't remember
everything went well without
the last time I saw one of those ones where the processor plugs in.
Installer to get everything installed on the main drive. About 10
That's
minutes
crazy.
later, I had a fully functional Core Plus install running off my CF card. The system takes about 3 minutes or so to start, but once it's up, it's fairly responsive. Since this system has USB support, to connect to the internet, I used one of these Toilet Paper Link N150 USB cards, and it just works.
Toilet Paper Link.
Wi-Fi 4 on a Pentium 2. Who'd have thought? So with our 26-year-old system up and running with internet access, what can we do?
Wow.
Well, one obvious thing we can do is use Telnet on PuTTY to browse some bulletin board systems and play some door games. There are ways to do this on older systems as well, but it's a pretty decent way to do it considering how easy it is to set up on a modern wireless network. Additionally, the TC Package Manager has a few graphical web browser options to choose from. The one best suited for this system is probably Dillo. As you can see, Dillo here renders web pages in a way that, well, would make Internet Explorer enthusiasts feel right at home. Jokes aside, it loads quite a few modern web pages, and the word almost readable comes to mind. Pages like old Reddit and Wikipedia are surfable and load images with a degree of speed you wouldn't expect from a PC from the early 90s.
That's what we noticed when we put Windows 98 on one of the Dell computers. Like, damn, this thing's actually fast.
This one is another light browser like Dillo, but it seems to render things in a way that actually look like web pages. Unfortunately, this system is still far too slow and RAM-starved to use it properly, and I got lots of crashes and had to task kill it a few times. So, as far as this system goes, we are pretty much at its limit. Most modern web browsers require more advanced instruction sets, specifically SSE and SSE2, to even run at all. So, although I can technically install the latest version of Firefox on Core Plus, it's not going to work on a Pentium 2. So how about we move to something with a little bit more power? Whoa. Not that much power. So this is my compact Armada E500. I used to use Linux on this way back in the mid 2000s, and I remember streaming YouTube with it
Wow.
using Flash Player. It wasn't fast, but it did work, so I'm curious to see how it stacks up now. Compared to our Pentium 2 PC, there are quite a few improvements here. We have a Pentium 3 running at 900 megahertz and double the amount of RAM with a total of 256 megabytes. This
Yeah, one of the
CPU
computers
also
that we have
supports
has got.
SSE, which might help us, I guess. Maybe.
Actually, I think it's a
As far
Pentium
as
4, but
upgrades,
it's
I
got
decided to
256.
swap out this old tired drive with a CF card adapter before I installed Core Plus. This drive has been
What?
clicking and on the verge of death since I did that Windows Me video on my other channel years ago, so it's time for it to go. Like before, the installation of Core Plus was swift and
Wow.
problem-free, and yet again I used this wireless card to keep things simple. Right off the bat, I notice a large difference in speed of the OS itself. For a PC that is effectively only 3 years newer, it's amazing how fast tech was moving in this time period. NetSurf, as I mentioned earlier, runs much better here than it did on our previous system. If you don't load anything too intense, you can
Let's
use
see.
it
We've
to
got a
navigate
Windows
simple
98
websites
machine, an
without too
XP
much
machine,
stutter. And we even get ads on Reddit,
and
which clearly is an improvement. If we push the envelope a bit further, we can install the non-SSE2 version of the Firefox-based browser SeaMonkey. For many reasons, this browser is a mess on this system, but if you avoid sites that are too demanding, it loads them fairly quickly. Make no mistake when I say demanding websites, I'm talking about sites like Amazon or eBay, not something like YouTube, which pretty much crashes it immediately. And just to make sure that no other browser is magically optimized for the Pentium 3, I tried a few other ones, and it's pretty much all the same story, unfortunately. I can't help but think with just a little bit more RAM, this system might even be able to stream some media, but as it stands right now, I think we're going to have to move on to a more powerful system. And a more powerful system we have. This is the Dell Inspiron 6000, a media powerhouse from late 2004 with blue glowy media buttons.
oh, I
This
have
system
one like
is
that.
loaded with a Pentium M running at a blistering 1.6 gigahertz with 512 megabytes of DDR2 RAM. Surely, this will be a great browsing experience.
I have the
As
D620,
expected,
which
the
is
increase
from
in CPU speed
I
does
don't know what
provide
year,
a better experience. The best browser
but
I
it actually
found in
has
this system was Vivaldi,
4
of all
gigabytes of RAM.
things. I managed to use it to stream music off of Bandcamp and run 144p YouTube at like 3 frames per second.
Wow.
Impressive. Okay, so it kinda sucks. Also, it thrashes the disk a ton, which leads me to believe that maybe more RAM would help. So I decided to throw a little bit more RAM at it and see what happens. I'm not sure what the max of this system is, but I was able to get it to boot with 1.5 gigabytes of
Yeah.
RAM. And this was a game changer. In addition to it being able to stream YouTube at 360p at an acceptable frame rate,
Wow.
the disk thrashing and crashing issues went away almost entirely.
That's
Since
crazy.
I was feeling confident in my newly upgraded system, I also decided to install the latest Firefox, and it works, mostly. Although YouTube and streaming media don't
I'm
seem
trying to
to
think
work
of how
due
old
to
this
what
Dell
I
laptop
assume
I
is
have
a
is. It's a
codec issue,
D620.
browsing is surprisingly
Let's
snappy.
see.
With this amount of RAM, we might even be able to install a more modern distro, but for the
Dell
time being, I'm pretty happy with the results we have here. This experiment is a good
Latitude
example of the rapid
D.
evolution of hardware between the late 90s and early 2000s. Just the fact that the release dates for
How
these
old?
devices are roughly 3 years
2006.
apart, yet they vary so much in terms of capability, is quite interesting to me. Well, that concludes the video for today. If you found it interesting, maybe consider subscribing, as I have more content coming out on simple.
Let's see. So, the computer, the one I'm talking about is The Dell Latitude came out in 2006. I don't think it looks like this. The 620 marked the transition from strictly 32-bit processing to opening up the potential to run 64-bit. Let's see what it says. Dell Latitude 620, the D62 620, dual core, 1.6 gigahertz, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive, Windows 10 Home Premium. What the hell? But that is what's on mine. Okay, let me click on this. Let's see. Scrolling through. The D6X0 series is a 14 by 14.1 corporate model. It aims to be combine heavy-duty power with reasonable portability. Differs primarily from the D8 series in screen size. All are two spindle designs with a D-bay modular bay, which interchange with optical drives, a second hard drive, a floppy disk, a zip drive, and a second battery. All models have a smart card socket PCMCIA socket, 9-pin serial port, D-dock port for docking station or port replicator, an internal socket for an 802.11 wireless card. The D600 and D610 share a common form factory battery socket and have a parallel printer port. The D620 and 630 share a common form factory battery socket and do not have a parallel printer port. Both have support for the optional internal Bluetooth module, a socket for an optional mobile broadband card, and have an external switch for disabling any wireless connections. Okay. So the Latitude D620 came out in March 2006. Its first business-oriented notebook with a dual-core processor available. The D620 marked the transition from strictly 32-bit processing to opening up the potential to run 64-bit operating systems. Initially available with the interim Iona Core Duo x86 32-bit processors, it was later sold with the second generation mobile MROM Core 2 x86 64-bit processor. Once those became available from Intel in the fall of 2006, both run on a 667 MT per second bus. So depending on the installed processor, a D620 can run x86 64-bit software. The D620 used a socket M for its motherboard, and its CPU is possible to be upgraded. It was initially sold with Intel integrated graphics, but an optional upgrade to a discrete NVIDIA GPU became available a few months after. It replaced the raised pointing stick with a low profile and introduced the option of a 4-cell, 9-cell battery in addition to the standard 6-cell. It uses DDR2 memory and is compatible with PC2 4200, which is 533 megahertz, and PC2 5300, which is 667 megahertz. Although the D620 accepts a maximum of 4 gigabytes of physical memory, it cannot be used fully because of the 32-bit physical addressing limitation of the 945 Core 2 mobile chipset. Intel 945GM/PM chipset not related to the BIOS or use of 32 or 64-bit restricts the usable memory by the operating system to be 3.5 gigahertz, 3.3 gigahertz with onboard video memory shared. The 620 has one mono speaker located in the base below the touchpad. It has no option to extend stereo without using external speakers or headphones. There was no clear clone Inspiron model for the D620. So interesting. So that computer I have in the living room, and my son uses it to play computer games on it, and it works absolutely fine. It has Windows 10 on it. I've had other computers that were newer than that. A couple of Acers, bought in 2008, one of them, and it couldn't run Windows 10. I remember it would like it installed, but it didn't run right. So it's kind of crazy that this laptop in 2006 had that kind of power. I mean, like, that's actually pretty good. DDR2, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64-bit. I have a laptop over here from 2009, and it's 32-bit, and it's horrible. This thing's faster. So, anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's go move this screen over here. Back out of this, and, where were we? Oh, we're over here. Let's see. There's another crazy ass one. Is that the TRS-80? No. Look, it has a little cable that goes into here. I can't tell what it is. I don't know, did that thing actually look like that? I don't know, that seems... No, that's a repop. Oh, look at that. Radio Shack's TRS-80. That's one of the TRS-80s. They had multiple ones. Color computer. I wonder what year that came out. You see, it has a cartridge that plugs on the side of it, and then you had to use the TV. That's actually a color TV. Crazy stuff. There's so many shitty ass old laptops out there. It's crazy. That looks like an E-machine. The hell? Basic. I remember reading the books when I was a kid. Yeah, you could set up basic, and you had to type it all in and save it to a disk. And then after you saved it to the disk, then the disk could like basically run the program. And it was just basically going through all the code. But the thing about basic was the line code made sense. It wasn't like all this Ubuntu crap with it in the terminal. Wow. Yeah, I remember these. And the problem with these laptops they make now, you can't even open them up. They're so hard to open up. Even this one that I just got from 2009, I had to like, it was like, how do I split the case to just get to the bad hard drive? And they don't have like the covers on them anymore on the bottom. They're not easy to get into. Look at that thing. The IBM 5100. The Oregon Trail, man. I told you, everybody played that on computers back then. Yep. We used to go into the command and change the basic code so that it would say something else or, do weird stuff. MS-DOS version 1.25 copyright 81E2. Wow. Yeah, I remember all this. Oh, man. Crazy stuff. Yeah, they had these. You get your first personal computer for under $200. They'd be in the magazines, the Sinclairs, and all these, and you'd have to buy this thing, and like it was a big deal back then. And they had like, the computer set up weird like that, and they were always using a TV. Which is, I remember they weren't really that useful back then. You couldn't do a whole lot with them. I mean, like, it was like, what was the point? You could, like, you'd be better off to use a calculator to do math, and, you were better off to, you know, you weren't going to play music on it or anything like that, and, you weren't going to browse things or watch anything. And the games weren't really that good. You're better off to get, like, an Atari, and then, eventually Nintendo came out. But when Nintendo came out with the NES in like what, 88 or something, or 87, I don't remember what kind of computers they really had, but I don't remember them being very good. I do remember the Apple II GS and Bill Cosby. Anyway, I remember the Apple II GS was pretty good at playing like these little mini golf games. That's actually pretty small for back in the day, that one. And that's what computers started out like. A whole crap load of vacuum tubes to form up logic circuits. Our technology has literally skyrocketed for no real apparent reason when you really think about it. And so it kind of aligns with a lot of conspiracies, basically. I personally think the computers and everything that we have today are reverse engineered alien technology that we didn't have. Well, how the hell do you go from vacuum tubes to silicone devices and microchips? And all of that stuff happened shortly after all the whole Roswell thing and all that, So I personally think that they reverse engineered technology, or they were given technology. Who knows? But of course, nobody will ever tell the people the truth because we can't handle the truth. Under $18,000, the IBM 5110. So this has got to be like 70s, late 70s. I don't know. But anyway, if we just look at where we're at with technology, there's just like, I mean, the things that are being produced nowadays, that like, it's absolutely unreal. Like, if you look at circuit boards, like, Here, I have a circuit board right here in front of me. Okay, this is out of a Wi-Fi router. Okay, who the hell can solder any of that by hand? How in the hell can a machine do that? Here is parts from a CB radio from the 80s, where somebody put all these parts in here by hand. And if they were lucky, then they stuck it in a machine that would solder the entire board, wave solder it, or whatever they call it, which is probably what they were doing back then. But, I mean, we're talking, you know, I don't know how many years difference. We haven't learned anything new that we didn't already know. Why is the technology increasing? Where do we keep getting this? I mean, like, think about it. Like, let's be realistic. How the frickin' hell does Intel and AMD and these companies, how are they the only manufacturers of these type of chips? And how the hell do they make these things? Nobody else makes them. It's like all like a secret. I mean, you have to really think about it. It doesn't make sense. There is no competition because they're gatekeeping something, and nobody else has the ability to produce these chips. That's why they were so worried about all this stuff happening in Taiwan. I mean, like, as far as like computer processor chips and things like that. So I don't know what they used to design this stuff, but it's way above our head. I mean, the way that the thing is done, I'm like, oh, okay, well, so you have a machine with the laser that can do all this stuff and etch and layer silicone and do all this crazy crap, but it still doesn't really make sense. I mean, it was just in the 1970s, we were still using vacuum tubes, Most TVs in the 70s had vacuum tubes in them, you know? So, it's just weird how things change. And for hundreds of years, we had no technology like this. We go all the way back to the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and then when we get into the 1900s, and then all of a sudden, 1920s and 30s, and then the whole conspiracy thing happens. Let's see, what is that? IBM with a modern DVD drive in it. That's not right. Commodore 64. A lot of people had those when I was a kid. They had the tape deck, and then you had that, and then I think there was like this little video converter. So you had to let's see if I can blow up this picture. So right there was the video converter, and you'd set the thing to like channel 3 or something, just like how the old Nintendos and stuff were. Pretty crazy. $10 MB hard disk, $3,398. Wow. That is crazy. Wow. I wonder what year that is. That's crazy. I thought maybe I saw the year on it. Wow. Another hard drive. Can you imagine paying $3,000 for a hard drive? And that was in that time period's money. Old picture of Steve Jobs. Some supposed world's oldest computer. What the hell? Oh my god, that thing's crazy looking. 3 floppies. What? Well, that's another funny thing. In high school, I took a typing class where we had IBM typewriters. And I mean, like, seriously, they look kind of like what's in this picture here. Netscape. Wow. Those tape reels. What was another interesting thing that I learned? Cassette tape was actually never designed for music. It was designed for computers and storage. And it's crazy when you think about, like, I have these little, pocket emulators and stuff. Even something like a Sony PSP, you know, old an old Game Boy. It's like the amount of technology that it had compared to like some of the first computers is crazy. What was that? Radio Shack. I remember all the Sony Vios. They were like, the hell? Eliza, the world's first chatbot, was just resurrected from 60-year-old computer code. Interesting. I don't know about that. I've got one of those old Apple computers from the 2000s. I don't know what it is. It's kind of round shaped. I forget what it's got on it. OS something. It works, but there's a crack in the screen. It's got like a funky flexible screen, like it moves on a mount arm. Um, and it has like, I think it's got like 1 point something gigabytes of RAM. You can't do anything with it though. I mean, I could try to put Linux on it. I'm not sure if that's easy to do or not. I've never actually like owned an Apple computer otherwise. He's a crazy looking dude. That's the TRS-80 that I remember in school. It had the drive over there, the keyboard, it was all built together. Yep, that's the TRS-80 we had. We had two of them, or did we have three of them? We had two of those in our school in it was like 6th grade or 7th grade, and then in like our other class they had the 2GS. And so nobody wanted to play on these computers back then because they were old. And so there was like a newer computer in the classroom too that they were all fighting over. And so we would use these ones. And we'd do all the Oregon Trail things, but we would break into the game. You just hit the break key and it would open the program. The game would stop and you'd see all the code, every bit of it, all in BASIC or DOS or whatever. And you could go in and edit and change it and even save it to the disk. And it was crazy. I remember it was Oregon Trail and there was another game called Mugwump or something like that. But yeah, I started out with the TRS-80. That was the first computer I ever used. Um, that's hilarious. Where the hell? Close this out. Whoa. Holy crap, those are hard drives. Crazy. And here's the thing. They try and tell us. Oh, we won't even get into it. But, okay, let's just say. We didn't even have any of this technology when they supposedly landed on the moon. I mean, this is way before any of this. 16-bit? This is funny stuff. This is the new 16K RAM card that turns your computer into a working giant. 16K. Not even 16 megabytes. What's going on, John? Like I was showing earlier, I have a TRS-80 pocket computer, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how it's even supposed to work. Verbatim. Oh yeah, it's a Verbatim. Like they were like big company for all the floppy drives. I just can't believe how much things have changed. It's like Microsoft. Wow, look at that. That's crazy. The Commodore VIC-20. I remember that one too. So that's the first TRS-80, which I think has probably got more in common with my pocket computer than anything. So the one I have here is this one. Um, yeah, I don't know what this thing's actually really supposed to do. Wow. Yep, there it is. Let's see if there's a date on this. Nope. Oh my god. This is crazy stuff. Wow. And I forgot they had like these cheesy ads too. Let me look up this. TRS 80 pocket. Oops. Okay, well, mine doesn't look like that. Mine looks like this, and it is a Sharp. That's basic. It's based off of a Sharp. Okay, let's see if they got any information here. Oh, okay, so this is what I have right here. Yeah, so that was the first in Radio Shack's line of pocket computers. It cost $249 when it was introduced in July 31, 1980. Wow. That's crazy. The same day as the TRS Model 80 Model 3 and the TRS 80 color computer. The pocket computer was renamed PC-1 in 1982. So that means that this is 1980. PC-2 was introduced. Unlike other computers, the Model 1, 2, and 3 color computer, the pocket computer wasn't a Radio Shack design. It was actually a rebadged Sharp PC-1211, which had been introduced in Japan the same year. So I don't know what it actually does. The pocket computer weighed only 6 ounces. It used two 4-bit processors and provided 11K of ROM for basic and 1.9K of RAM for user programs. The display was a 24-character LCD that could show one line with uppercase characters only. Unlike a calculator, the pocket computer had a 57-key QWERTY keyboard. Albeit somewhat reduced in size, the pocket computer was powered by 4 mercury batteries. The best selling point of the pocket computer was the built-in BASIC. Program capacity was defined in steps, and the PC-1 offered 1,424 steps in its 1.9K of RAM. Because of the small size of the tokenized BASIC programs, this was actually a lot more capacity than it sounds. You can program the pocket computer to do almost any of the smaller jobs that the TRS-80 computers can do, except those requiring graphic capabilities. Program it to file a stock portfolio or to calculate business, engineer, or scientific problems. Programs can be saved on cassette with the optional cassette interface and recorder, or left in memory for as long as needed. 5 basic programs of Radio Shack sold the pocket computer cassette interface for $49, and it used 3 AA batteries and measured blah blah blah. Some third-party companies sold software for the pocket computer, but Radio Shack was the primary source of software, and they sold a surprising number of pocket computer software packages. These were mostly professional programs such as real estate, math drill, engineering math. Radio Shack also sold a few game packages, including Games 1, Games 2. These included games such as NIM and Spaceship Landing, Treasure Hunt, Blackjack, and Craps. Okay, so I don't know what you can do with this little guy. Alright. There's another site for these. Huh. I mean, I don't know what. I think you can do math on it. That's about it. 4 times 2 enter equals 8. So it's basically a really fancy calculator. Let me turn the flash on. I don't know if it'll let me. I get no flash. Alright, well, let's see. Oops. I accidentally opened up a bunch of crap on the bottom here. Let's see. TRS-80 Pocket Computer Interface and Mini Cassette allowed you to save and load your own programs or use Radio Shack's pre-recorded pocket computer software. Okay, so if you didn't have the other thing, you would only be able to do like very limited stuff. Interesting. Wow. Oh wow, look at all that. That's crazy. The Wang. The Wang computer. Damn. MMX. I remember that. Name 2. Tiny Computers. Oh, crap. I forgot about that company. Yeah, I had a Tiny Computer. Oh, man. I think it was a Pentium, too. Damn. It might have even been that one. I'm trying to remember. Somebody gave it to me. Gateway. Let's see if there's anything really interesting here. Alright. It's 3 in the morning, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody watching. I'll catch you later.